Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Five Drinks to Midnight. Another show we bring the questions, guests bring the drinks. We try to wrap up before midnight. Today we are talking to best friends forever, Rudra Trivedi and Kyle Nelson from Middle West. But before we do, like and subscribe. It'll really help us out. Let's get started. Rudra, Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. Five Drinks to Midnight, five drinks, five questions. How you fellas doing tonight?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing good, doing good. Looking forward to be drinking with you guys. Again, first, thanks for the samples. Lovely. I mean, when you get booze mail from Middle West, like it's always a good day. So like I'm down. So
like the box and the backgrounds.
What are we drinking first?
We're going to start with our cast strength straight wheat whiskey. So this is a 95.5 wheat whiskey, 95 wheat, 5% barley. Clocking in at 123.5 proof.
Ooh, yeah. Very, very nice.
This is something I'm pretty proud of, being the single barrel program manager here. A lot of my day is spent drinking whiskey right out of the barrel, which, you know, in theory sounds good. My palate gets a little tired after drinking 123, 126 proof a lot. But this wheat whiskey is really cool because we haven't really done a pick of it in a long time. So we haven't released a cast strength version of this in a while. So this is the first one that we've done quite a bit. And I mean, I just think it's really special. This is about almost 6 years in oak. So I was kind of worried about the age on it. Just because of the softness of the wheat that we use in the mash. But when we tasted it, like we were immediately like, yeah, this deserves to be at cast strength. This deserves to be a single barrel. So I'm really proud and happy about how this turned out. Big fan of our wheat whiskey in general. A lot of Irish whiskey drinkers and Scotch drinkers tend to gravitate toward this one just because how soft it is. I don't know, it's a really special product for me and something I think that not a lot of consumers really know about just yet. I think wheat whiskey is kind of on the forefront of becoming pretty popular in the mainstream. So the fact that we've been doing one, it was our first whiskey that we released back in what year?
2012.
2012. Middle Spirits was kind of on the forefront of doing a wheat whiskey. And when a lot of distilleries aren't doing something like this. So I don't know, it's one of my favorite products as far as our whiskey. I mean, I like all our whiskeys, but this one is just special to me. So really happy how it turned out.
Also, it smells absolutely amazing. So I guess first thing is cheers, fellas. Thanks for joining the show.
Cheers.
Oh, yeah. That's fucking good. That's just real good.
I mean, that's the best compliment, right? If you drink it, it's good. That's at the end of the day, that's the goal. What's really interesting about a wheat whiskey is we don't do a lot of single barrels of it because there's not a lot of variety. When 95% of your mash bill is the same grain, it's really hard to find a single barrel that stands out, to find something that really shines. So that's why we didn't do a lot of wheat whiskey single barrels. It wasn't because it wasn't good or we didn't like it. It's just, why is this barrel special when it tastes like 15 other barrels that are going in the same batch? So I think this is the third one we've ever done in our 15-year run. We just, we hope every time that we find one, we don't always. This one was just lights out though.
Well, I guess let's just jump right into question one then. I mean, you both hold two different, very unique jobs at the distillery. Can you just tell us, I mean, again, question one is always just an origin story. How'd you get started in the whiskey business?
For me, I wasn't always a whiskey drinker. 2014, my best friend wanted to go on the Bourbon Trail. And he said, my parents will drive us around. This is going to be our birthday present. Our birthdays are about 2.5 weeks apart. So he's like, just come down, drink some drinks, get some whiskey, and they'll drive us around Kentucky. And I said, why not, right? Free drinking. Went to Maker's Mark. Back then, they could only sell the cask strength at the distillery. I bought that bottle, and then by the time I came back, I had 9 bottles, and then here we are. So at Middle West, I started in late 2016, so about 6 years ago. I just started as a tour guide. It was something fun. I like talking about whiskey.
More than 6 years ago now.
Over
you
6,
just, you just celebrated your 6-year anniversary.
Yeah, so
3 weeks ago?
3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, cheers to that, right?
Is that
I taught, so I was like the educational part of whiskey and the camaraderie of it. So started as a tour guide, and then eventually I ran the tour program, and then eventually I took over events, and then now I've switched over to marketing.
awesome? And for you, Kyle?
Yeah, so I grew up in Cleveland, born and raised, bartended for about 5 years up there. So I just kind of learned the craft of bartending and then appreciating spirits because of that. So in 2016, October 10th, 2016, actually, I moved to Columbus just on a whim because I had lived in Cleveland my whole life and needed to get away from the incestual industry that the service industry in Cleveland is. So it's close enough, but far enough away, and my family still lives in Cleveland. So it's 2 hours. I can go up there as much as I want or as little as I want, and not feel bad about it. So moved down here, worked at a couple different restaurants, and then one of my good friends at the time was the beverage director at Service Bar, which is the restaurant attached to our distillery in the West. And the job I had wasn't working out. So he's like, hey, I worked with him previously, and he's like, hey, come work at Service Bar. I was like, okay. So I bartended here at Service Bar for a year and a half or so. Took over the beverage director position after that. Then COVID hit, so we did carry out for about 16 months or so, which just didn't work out in the grand scheme of things. So from there, I moved to the production side of our operation. So I was filling barrels, I was blending, I was batching, all that. And then from there, I moved into sales. And the entire time, I've always just been a brand ambassador for Middle West. So I travel. I met you, Tim, in New York City. I was just in Vegas last week for the Other Whiskey Fest. I've been really fortunate to be given the opportunity to travel around and espouse what Middle West Spirits is. So I will always thank and be appreciative of that fact. And I guess I just have, like Ryan saw, that I have like a palate and a nose for doing single barrels. So it just kind of worked out, and now I run the single barrel program.
Awesome. How was Vegas? I mean, the New York was a shit show, and I mean that in a good way.
Oh no, yeah.
How was Vegas compared to?
So New York was actually one of the, in my opinion, of the 5 that I did this year, probably the best that we've done. Just because obviously I got to meet you, so that
Shucks, folks, I'm speechless.
Puts it on the top of the list. But I think just New York was a lot more intimate than the other ones were. And whether that be the low ceilings or like the big boys like James B. Beam, and they weren't there. So it made it seem more intimate in my opinion. Vegas, I had a lot of trepidation about, just because USC was playing Utah that night in Vegas. They were actually staying at the hotel that we stayed in. So I saw a bunch of USC players roaming around, which is cool. And with Vegas, there's always something going on, right? So there's never something not to do.
Right.
But all that being said, it ended up being the second best event, I thought, for Whiskey Fest. It was, again, very, very intimate, just like New York was. The ballroom was bigger, but we were able to actually have and hold a conversation with people about Middle West Spirits, which is something I like to do personally, instead of just going through the spiel and just being a robot. I was actually able to connect with people, which so I thought it ended up being a really good event.
I mean, I know I fell in love with you guys via the TSR pick. I mean, I thought that was probably one of the best whiskeys I've tasted in a really long time. And again, what you guys make doesn't disappoint. This is just, again, fucking amazing. And it's already the first drink. So I can't wait to see what the other three are lined up. I know what the other two are going to be, and that's just hell and mean. But for people that want this, you guys ship online, correct? Like you talk about carry out during the pandemic. You guys have an online store, correct?
We do. So we changed it up a little bit. So when we started the online store as a core products, it was finding the select markets that some of our partners could ship to and getting product in people's hands in states that we weren't in. How do we get product to somebody that can't go to a liquor store and buy it? So that's how we started that model. And then now that we're in 45 states, it's a little bit different. So now it's really more of if somebody's giving a gift, they're going to buy a bottle and ship it out. And we are right now discussing putting single barrels on there, putting some cash strength on there, because it was all about availability. We've always wanted to do a lot of single barrels, and we brought on Kyle in May to just do single barrels. But before that, we didn't have them. We were waiting on stock to age up. We were waiting on barrels to mature. So the single barrels we did in-house, we only did them in-house because those are the only ones we had. If you find one single barrel, you can't do a barrel pick. You can't bring in somebody and say, hey, you can do a barrel pick, you have one barrel. That's not really a pick, it's a barrel handoff. And our thing was always, if we want somebody to pick a barrel, they have ownership of it. They pick that barrel, that's theirs, and that's the one they get, just like TSR did. So now that we have that volume where we can say, hey, if you come to a barrel pick, you've got 3 or 4 to pick from. Or if we have enough barrels, let's do one in the bottle shop, that's a distillery exclusive. And let's do one in the online portal. So hopefully early next year, as we scale up, we're going to put our merch up there. We're going to put our single barrels up there. We'll put our cask strength up there. So the people who really want to dive deep into Middle West Spirits whiskey, they'll have an opportunity to actually buy it and get it.
Yeah, because unless, like a consumer has a store in their market that does a single barrel pick, you can't get it otherwise in our bottle shop here in Columbus. So we're working on our footprint and distribution footprint to get that more available for people, because the cask strength, I like our core products, but I also prefer it at cask strength, just like a lot of people who like whiskey do. I think a cask strength release is very special and something that a lot of people can't find. And we're trying to expand that. We're working on logistics right now to make that a reality for people to be able to find and be able to get.
Awesome. Yeah, and again, your guys' swag is fucking top notch as well. So
Kyle's got one too. It's just black on black, which is my favorite.
Oh, very nice. Question 2, what are we drinking?
So we'll be drinking the cask strength Michael and Reserve weeded bourbon.
Yes, sir.
So this is a 4-grain bourbon, weeded, so heavily weeded in the mash. Something, again, not a lot of people are doing, but something that we really like. We played around with a lot of different permutations of mashes as we started doing our bourbon, and this is the one that we landed on. Ryan Lang specifically, our owner, he doesn't like being called master distiller, but I'll call him our master distiller. So Mike Alone, the name on the bottle, is the name of his grandfather. So Ronald Julius Mike Alone, which stands up there with, the Elmer T. Lee, James E. Pepper as a really cool name to have. A name that a lot of people don't have anymore. Ronald Julius is not a name you really hear much anymore. So we wanted to honor the legacy of Ryan and his family being a 4th-generation distiller by putting that on the bottle. It's a really cool story for us and a really cool thing to be a part of. So
that's awesome.
This one we're clocking in at 126.54 proof.
Yeah, that's a kicker.
When you drink it, it's not going to drink like 126, that's for sure.
Smells, again, you guys just do not put out a bad product. This is just absolutely amazing.
Cheers.
Cheers.
The problem I run into with a lot of our cask strength stuff is it doesn't drink cask strength. This is at 126, but if you give it to a lot of people, they're going to guess 115 to 120. And it clocks in a lot hotter than that. And I think that's a testament to, one, the mash bill is a really good mash bill, so there's a balance to it. And also the barrels that we get are from Speyside Cooperage. It's right here in Ohio. So it is an arm, if you will, of Speyside overseas. And they make all the barrels in-house. It's a proprietary toast and char for all of our whiskeys. So all of our whiskeys have a different barrel that they go into. So the rye barrel is a different choast and char than the bourbon barrel and the wheat barrel. So I think really honing in on that kind of stuff really makes our whiskey better. We could buy a really standard barrel and just put it out. But
Choast.
Yeah, I said choast. I was waiting on you to say that. Yeah, choast. That's toast and char put together.
Yeah.
Specifically here for our whiskey.
Choasted,
yeah.
Toasted. New dictionary term.
Yeah, but I think that's really important, and I think as there's growth in the industry, you're going to see a lot more people doing it because all the big distilleries either have their own cooperage or they get their custom barrels, and then that's now spreading to the mid levels, and it's slowly seeping into the craft. And I think as people can really experiment with their whiskey, and you're not really just doing a cookie cutter approach, you're going to start to see a lot of really, really good whiskey maturing out. And I think we're about to hit that peak.
Awesome.
And we're, like to his point about, the cooperage being so close to us, it's about an hour and a half south of Columbus. They're toasting and charring our barrels, and then within either the day or the next day, they're being delivered and filled. Which is hugely important when it comes to whiskey, like having a fresh barrel. We don't have to steam them. We don't have to make sure that there's no leakage because they're being delivered so closely to when they're actually produced. So it's been a really big benefit to us and to have them as a partner because they've been nothing but good to us. And in return, we fill a lot of barrels, so we've been good to them as well. But it's awesome to have them as a partner because barrels obviously are important when it comes to whiskey.
That's awesome. All right. Well, then, on to question 2. Again, it's weird that I have you two guys on, which usually it's like partners that do the same job. You guys totally do 2 different jobs, which we kind of talked a little bit about in the beginning, question 1. So can you tell us a little bit of the day in the life of what you guys do and like what is your roles at Middle West? Like that's
I know we both do a little bit of everything. For me, it's a really I don't want to say it's not glamorous, but when people say, "Oh, you work at a distillery," I want to work at a distillery, and I was like, well, I answer a lot of emails, I get on a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of follow-ups, a lot of communicating within the departments, because being marketing, it's not just, taking pretty pictures and putting them on Instagram, because I would love to do that. But for me, it's, it's working with sales and getting the sales support. Like, what do they need? What are their point of sales, like items that they need, a shelf topper, back card, whatever it may be. Working with, Amy, who does our partnerships, we work with a lot of other distilleries as well. What do they need? Do they need NABCA labels? Do they need, case labels, whatever it may be, because that all falls within us in graphic design. It may be something for Ryan. Hey, I want to work with this nonprofit. Or Josh comes to us. We're doing this with this nonprofit. We need to put together a gift basket or some marketing material. So it's a lot of just communicating, because I think, as most people do, it's whatever you're doing is the most important in that moment. But it's also saying, hey, I know that this unit needs something, but what does everybody else need? What's the hierarchy of it? It's a lot of people managing. I know everybody would love to hear, like, we're mashing and fermenting and distilling, and then, we sit around from 12 to 5 and we're sipping whiskey and making sure it tastes good. And it's a little bit of that. It's usually at the very end of the day. We try to leave until after 4 if we can. But it's a lot of just working with people if we can, right?
Yeah. Depends on the day.
So I think it's just a lot of working with people, and it's a very small community, is what I've learned very quickly. Whiskey is very small. I've reached out to influencer pages that don't really put their faces out there, and I found out that it's somebody that I know, or somebody who lives, in the town I grew up in, or somebody that, oh, you're the local meteorologist and you have a whiskey page and that's why you don't put your face out there. Stuff like that, which is very funny. And then even within the other distilleries, we get a lot of questions about, like, oh, you're marketing, so you got to go and slander all the other distilleries. I'm like, not really. We know everyone. We go to all the whiskey fests and we're all friends and we're trying each other's products, and that really doesn't exist. I think that falls more on like the consumer side when it gets a little cliquey and they're like, I love this and I hate this. I'm like, that's not what we're worried about. We have so much to do of our own stuff. We don't have time to sit around and plot and, like, plan a demise of somebody else, because there's too much to do.
again, rising tide raises all ships. And I think that, you're right. I think the consumer side is the ones that draw the line in the sand of the, I will never drink that. I mean, I think we saw a lot of that at the New York Whiskey Fest, where it was just a lot of drunk fools walking up going, give me your most expensive and your rarest. And like, you're like,
yeah, sure. But I also want to have a conversation with you about, our product is not prohibitively expensive at all. Like, I guess technically we're in like the ultra premium range of like, pricing, but at the end of the day, like we try and stay humble, and like we are real people, like we're not going to blow smoke up your ass or anything. Like, we are who we are. If you like our product, awesome. That really makes me feel good. If you don't, okay. Like, I'm not going to police somebody on what they like and what they don't like. I'm not going to try and tell them like, well, you're wrong that you don't like our whiskey.
I'll do that for you.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you said it, so I appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be the guy that stands up for you.
Hey, that means that, and that means a lot to us, because we like having people like you and other people we've communicated with espouse who we are and like what we do. But again, at the end of the day, like, if you don't like us, you don't like us. It's not the end of the world to me. I mean, everybody's palate is different, and so to answer the question, like, I know we did a whole round of things. So to Rudra's point, like, we all do a little bit of everything. So day to day, it's all different. Like right now, I think I'm sitting on like 6 barrel picks that have already been picked that then need to be, dumped, bottled, labeled, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just in the background. But if Victor, who's our vice president of sales, needs something, needs sample shipped to a distributor, et cetera, like, I'll do that. I'll help with marketing. I'll help develop cocktails. So I do a lot of sales support and brand ambassadorship as well, along with tasting whiskey out of the barrel. So I'll put together like a whole book for our sales team of cocktails that they can present to on-premise accounts if they are not the kind of place that has a mixologist, which I fucking hate that term.
A lot of people do.
Fucking hate it. I'm a bartender. I'm not a mixologist.
There you go.
End of story. So I'll put together like a cocktail list for people who don't have that dedicated person to create cocktails. So then they can use our products on premise and get the word out. Because not everybody's going to drink 126 proof bourbon straight up. They want our bourbon in a cocktail. They want an old fashioned Manhattan, whatever. So I'll put together things like that for accounts that can use it moving forward. And then also I drink a lot of whiskey out of bourbon.
There you go. Perfect.
And I get to send samples out to friends like you, Tim.
Question 3, drink 3. What are we drinking?
So this is probably our most unique product. It is the Dark Pumpernickel Rye Whiskey. So it's the only rye whiskey in North America that uses dark pumpernickel as a grain in the mash bill. Just something that, Ryan, we did, again, a lot of permutations on mash bill to see what we wanted. We tried the traditional 95.5. We tried other, 4-grain ryes as well. And this is the one that really stood out. So it's super unique. It's not as, I would say, punch you in the face rye spice as a lot of ryes are. This, hands down for me anyway, is my favorite product that we produce. And if you did a staff poll, I would say 80% of the staff would say the same. It's just a really cool, just to me, amazing product. Like, I can't espouse the values of this rye enough. Like, it's just so good.
And again, you guys are the first distillery to use this rye, correct?
Across it's a majority. It's 80% rye, 10% corn, 5% wheat, 5% barley. So it's a 4-grain, which is unique. And it's not like we took a unique grain and put in 10% and said, oh, now it's got dark pumpernickel. Just like the wheat whiskey, if we're going to do it, we're going to put a lot of it in there. The wheat's 95% wheat. This is 80% rye. And it really shines through that it is different.
Awesome.
Cheers, Sam.
Cheers. Smells absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's something weird that I noticed as this whiskey started to mature in age, and now that we do a lot of barrel picks, I think this smells a lot sweeter than our bourbon does, which is different because the bourbon has a classic bourbon sweetness, but this is almost like a caramel, like a really deep, rich sugar sweetness on the nose.
I think was this the one that I kept coming back for when I met you, or was it the other one?
I mean, that was a long event for me. So
yeah, I think I just kept making just circles around you guys' booth every time, and just being like holding out my glass, and I just filled up as it just went on by. So
you did the old drive by.
Yep.
I think as you walked, I was pouring.
Yeah, you report. Yeah, we should go into NASCAR.
I'm the pit crew.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely amazing.
Huge fan of this one. I mean, I can't get enough of it. Like, and especially at cast strength too. Like, again, I love our core product at 96 that we do it. But when you have it at cast strength out of the barrel, like it's just, I mean, so many flavors come through. It's just so complex, but so approachable at the same time. And it's not drinking at the proof that it's at either.
No, well, again, none of them were. Like, I mean, again, like it's gonna be a dangerous night. Like at the end of this, like we're gonna hang up and.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially since one of our next drinks is.
But all right, so question 3, we like to call this the talking shit segment because again, we've had 3 drinks, so now we're ready to talk some shit. What do you guys think is the worst thing happening in the spirits industry right now?
That's a really easy question because I think about this a lot. So I'm gonna go back one step. I'm huge sneakerhead. OJ and Peter and I have connected on that a lot. And when they came for their first pick, I was telling the other guys in the office, I was like, oh, they had this pair and this pair, and nobody else is a shoe person in the office. I was like, this is a completely lost conversation. But it's the same thing in shoes that drives me nuts in whiskey. It's the reseller market. So you have a new shoe come out and nobody gets a chance to buy it. And then you go on StockX and there's 100 pairs marked up 300%.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there's a lot of frustration in whiskey, and not just with like producers, but even other consumers, people who can't even find a regular bottle of Buffalo Trace. They can't find a regular bottle of Eagle Rare. When I moved to Columbus, they were dusty in the liquor store. Nobody wanted them, nobody cared. But once there was a value in flipping it, you can't find anything.
Yeah.
And I think not even just Buffalo Trace, but there are a lot of brands where I know people would love to buy it and drink it because we're big proponents of buy whiskey, drink it. I'm a proponent of if you buy shoes, wear them, they're shoes. They're meant to go between you and the ground. And I think a lot of people then get disappointed because then they try these super rare whiskeys, and I'm not going to name names, but they try it and they're like, I just paid $95 for a 2-ounce pour, and I'm not as impressed as I should be for a $95 2-ounce pour. But what it is the scarcity has created that model where the price is limitless. It's whatever somebody's willing to pay.
Yeah, scarcity and marketing too. I mean, like the juice is good. Don't get it wrong. Like, but to his point, I think, and to answer the question, I think the secondary market is one of the worst parts about the whiskey industry, because you're not going to get people like you, like Rudra, like myself, who are going to drink it. They're going to buy it and put it on a shelf, let it get dusty, and just so they can tell people they have it.
Yep.
It's a drag. That's an absolute drag. Like Blanton's is good. Buffalo Trace is good. Eagle Rare is good. I wish I could find a bottle.
And you guys live in an allocated state. So like that is even worse. Like that.
And I think it's a bummer, I think, at the end of the day, that it's gotten to this point where, you know, there are so many good producers out there that are doing really good stuff that just get overlooked. And I'm not, you know, I will say we're kind of one of those, you know, like we're doing some really good stuff, but the marketing on other distilleries is a little bit better, and the name recognition and the branding, that's, you know, it sucks for us to a certain extent, but, you know, we're still trying to like be who we are and reach as many people as we can and appreciate the people who like our stuff.
Question 4, drink 4. I'm regretting this already. What are we drinking?
I think we're going Rumplemints.
Oh, all right.
So a beautiful 100 proof peppermint schnapps. We are who we are. We are classy and trashy at the same time.
Oh, he's whipping out the black glass for this one. There we go.
I had to show on camera that it got poured because otherwise no one's going to believe me that it went in there. So
our old cooks at that previous iteration of Service Bar really loved Rumple Mints. He turned me and Rudra onto it, honestly. Yeah. It's a very beautiful expression of a classic peppermint schnapps. It is what it is. I mean, it'll get you really fucked up. And honestly, sometimes that's the point.
Can't go wrong there. So,
and it's really good.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
That's something you do as a shot.
Oh yeah. Woo. Woo. That's the mouthwash right there.
And it's really good to cocktail with, surprisingly. So I've used this in multiple different cocktails with our spirits, either as like just an adjunct, so like quarter ounce, half ounce. It just adds like a really good flavor. Like,
yeah, this with your bourbon cream would be fucking, I bet, is delicious. So like, I mean,
it's really good.
Kyle's done a couple cocktails where the way I describe it is it's more of what you feel after, right? So when you drink anything with mint, you really want that cooling effect. And Rumple Mints does it really well. So even if you get just the slightest mint flavor, but you get that cooling, you're like, there's mint in there. That's what you're looking for. And I would say like Andy's Mints. Andy's Mints, honestly,
they slap.
They're the best. And even though when you eat them, it's not the mintiest or the chocolatiest, you know you had mint.
Yeah.
And Andy's Mint. And I think Rumple Mints kind of falls in there because you can put just a little bit in a cocktail, and all of a sudden you're like, there's definitely mint in there.
Hang on. Gotta get a little more.
There you go. It is deceptively good. I think there's a lot of you know what other thing that bothers me. This is something new that I came across when I became friends with Kyle, because Kyle being a bartender, bartenders will drink anything. There is no right or wrong. If you can put in a glass, British now. If you can put in a glass and you can shoot it, they'll drink vermouth, Rumple Mints, Fernet, whatever it may be. And I think there's a lot of slander on stuff that's not expensive. You know, I think people think that, I have to buy 5 different bottles that are $40 to $50 each to make a good cocktail. And you really don't.
Yeah.
It's not only the ingredients, but it's also how you make it. And some things you can skimp on and you'll be fine. Fresh citrus, probably not one of them. But there are other things like, do I need to go buy, a really expensive mint liqueur? No, I can get Rumple Mints.
It does the job for half the price. So yeah. All right. So question 4. So we've got the history. We've got what you done. We've talked a little shit. Now it's time to talk a little love or spread some knowledge. Where do you guys see craft spirits going in the 2024, 2023, like into the future?
That's a lot harder than the other ones. The other ones I've talked.
I know we've had a few drinks now.
There's a lot of opportunity. I think that access to things is increasing. I know barrels are hard to get, but I think farmers are a little bit less hesitant to work with distilleries and breweries and all that when making product. I think that as the new age distilleries mature, I would say we're kind of like the old guard. We're not the oldest. We're not like E.H. Taylor, but we're 15 years old. But as these distilleries that are craft age out, they're going to get better just like we got better. If you try our batch 1 rye versus now, it's night and day. And I think there's a lot of growing pains. And I think if you can find that local support, sustain yourself on that, and then as your product gets better, then push it out into the masses and let people really try what you're making. So I think craft is going to grow, and I think craft is going to hopefully sustain itself by making sure that their backyard supports them, right? Like in Columbus, people know who they are. If you go to Texas, they know who Balcones is. If you go to Nevada, they know who Prairie Ranch is. But I think people will be able to spread and grow. And I think collectively it's going to make whiskey better because the stuff that isn't good is going to get filtered out very quickly. You know, they're going to try to spread it. If it's not good, it's not going to make it. And then all of a sudden, you're going to be able to go into a liquor store, hopefully anywhere, and say, hey, I know that a majority of this is good because there's too much competition for a liquor store or a distributor or anyone else to put bad product on the shelf. Brad product.
Brad product.
You know what? I'm not even going to say that's the alcohol. That's the fact that I grew up learning 2 different languages, so I get a free pass.
No, you're good. I mean,
yeah, and this is more for Kyle, not for you, Tim. Yeah, I got to stand up to him once in a while.
Listen, so Rudra and I are probably like we're best friends.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup. You want to go do karate in the garage? Yup.
I mean, so we talk a lot of shit to each other. Like I love this guy like more than anything. I really do. Like I value him very highly, probably more than he thinks.
Hopefully not.
Well, hopefully not. So like, him and I like have this rapport where like we can just like talk shit to each other. And
we have to educate new people in Middle West. Like we're careful, but like I think a lot of new people are like, man, they're really going at it. That's how we are.
Like this is literally my best friend.
Yeah.
Like we are coworkers, but we are best friends at the end of the day. So.
But I think as the competition grows, I think it's going to make whiskey collectively better. Just because the bad stuff's not going to make it.
On to question 5, drink 5. What are we drinking?
What's next?
Fernet.
Fuckers.
Who doesn't love Fernet?
A lot of people don't like Fernet.
Yeah.
It's really interesting with Fernet because like I grew up eating Indian food, so a lot of the things in Fernet are in our cuisine. Like Bhargav loves it, Saham loves it. A lot of my family, when they tried, they're like, "Oh, I actually like this." Kind of like Malort. I love Malort just because familiar flavors. But if you've never had anything like Fernet, it's a lot.
Fernet is not something that like.
Yeah, you don't dabble in Fernet. Fernet is either you're in or you're out. It's like
yeah. I mean, this is a classic mixologist.
I think there's a lot of bad rap. I think it's in cocktails, so people don't recognize it. But I think there's a lot of flavors and a lot of appreciation for what it is because it is a true digestif. Like it has a function. It is not simply for enjoyment. It is to digest whatever you just ate.
Well, yeah. I will tell you,
Americans don't really view it like that.
Right.
Nope. Fernet is you just walked up to the bartender going, "Give me your favorite shot," and they're like, "Fuck you, I'm busy." But here's 8 fucking pours of Fernet.
Fernet or chartreuse.
Yeah, like that is.
Which I love.
And Fernet, I think, is a little bit more accessible than chartreuse.
Yeah.
Chartreuse is.
I will take chartreuse over Fernet any day. So
I mean,
really,
you would, but I don't think many people would.
Tim, you make a lot of drinks, so I think it's a little bit different.
Yeah. So, but I mean, again, I love Fernet in a cocktail. I don't love drinking straight Fernet. Like that is. So thanks, fuckers. So, cheers.
I like that glass though.
Yeah, I mean that is again. We got to show it off. So.
Man, that's good.
That is so good.
Oh. Whew.
You're not selling it, Tim. You got to sell it.
Not selling it. Again, love it in a cocktail.
I think Fernet's like Rumplemans, right? Like I think it's got its uses, it's got its benefits, but I think it's not for everybody. I'm used to really strong flavors. I prefer that. Like nuance, I always struggled with. So my roommate in grad school, his family was from Connecticut. They ate a lot of seafood and like creams and soft buttery flavors and like white wine. I would drink white wine with him and I was like, this tastes like nothing. He goes, no, there's like mineral and it's buttery. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is alcoholic water.
Yeah.
Like, give me something. I need a stout. I need a porter. I need a whiskey. Like, I need flavor in what I'm consuming because I'm so used to my palate getting blown out that anything that's really soft or nuanced, I completely miss.
All right. So question 5 comes down to the Whiskey Wednesday coin. You can flip it, you can spin it, you can do whatever you want, but both of you have your coin, correct?
You got it.
Excellent. So question 5, we've talked about how you guys are best friends, even down to the matching tattoos. So question 5, are your significant others jealous of your relationship? Spinning, spinning, and spinning.
No.
No.
Fuck yeah.
No.
You know what's really funny about that, Tim? I got to tell the story, and I told Kyle right before we got on here. So we send each other really dumb shit on Instagram all the time. So stuff that's so far out there that only like him and I get that humor. So I was laughing last night, and my girlfriend goes, "What are you laughing at?" And I was like, "Oh, it's something Kyle sent me. You want to see it?" She goes, "Yeah, I want to see it." And I showed it to her, and it was a video. I played the entire video. She is stone cold. And she goes, "Both of your brains are broken." and I said, "Look, be thankful I have Kyle because I would send them to you if it wasn't for Kyle. But I have Kyle, so he thinks the same things that I think are funny. So I don't have to spam your inbox with all of these memes and dumb videos." And she's like, "But I don't even get it." And I'm like, it would take me 45 minutes to explain why this is funny to us. We listen to podcasts, we listen to most of the same stuff. And we've talked about if we were to sit and explain why certain things are funny to us, it would take us hours because there are so many layers and so many backstories that by the time we got done explaining it, they would have fallen asleep.
All right. Rudra and Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. That's 5 drinks down, 5 questions answered. If you are ever in New York and if I'm ever in Ohio, we have to drink. So again, cheers to you fellas. Thanks again for a lovely night. Until we drink in person. So cheers.